On today's show, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. What do we expect for the rest of the season? What can they accomplish in the rest of the season? We'll answer those questions and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and every post game and to comment anything below. Let us know below. What's your biggest question? Your one biggest question. I'm doing it again today. Your one biggest question for the last 22 games of the season. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the We-Back Boy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I gotta know. Why did you tell people to write me congrats? Because I had multiple. Yes,
it was because your daughter turned 3.
Oh yeah. That was a lot of fun. We celebrated her birthday, and she stayed up super late, and she got blisters on her heels off these nice dress shoes. We did a little photo shoot, whatever, and so then she couldn't walk. She really soaked that up. So, because she couldn't walk, she had to sleep with her mama and papa. So that was like,
oh, okay.
So she got to sleep with us last night and stayed up forever. So that's why I couldn't do a pod. There you go. I know y'all don't care one bit about that. But
sometimes you're like, why did they go solo sometimes? Like there's 2 people like that. Sometimes that's the reason.
There you go.
Today's episode, we're getting into your questions. You guys submitted questions. We're still taking questions. We're going to do one tomorrow as well, a mailbag with your questions. So submit your questions. I posted on the community tab on YouTube. So go to the channel and respond, or go to @LockedOnMavs on Twitter. It posted there as well. Graphic with Luka and Kyrie. Respond to that one. And we should be getting to a bunch of these questions. And today, the questions are all kind of centered around the rest of the season. If you start looking at this Dallas Mavericks team and you say, okay, this is like a brand new team, right? Like you look at this team and you can't really take any of the numbers. Yesterday, I tried to give my 3 biggest questions for the rest of the season. And I started to talk about the defense. And I immediately just went, you know what? I started to try to do some research into the numbers, but I don't know if we can take any numbers and try and equate it to what this team is. Because with Kyrie, with Dorian gone, with Dinwiddie gone, with, just moving parts around, it's just a completely different team now. And none of the numbers really kind of match up. Like there's going to be this overall trend of Luka. But I think going into the rest of these 22 games, it's going to be fascinating to see what we learn about this team.
Yeah, the sample size isn't very big right now. I mean, the biggest thing for the rest of the season, however you want to, and whatever question you want to put with this, but the biggest thing that we're thinking about for the last stretch of the season, it's not the second half of the season. Let's get that right.
That's correct.
There's only 20 something games left, which is
22.
Shocking. Not half the season. But the biggest thing for the Mavericks is the Kyrie Luka pairing, and whatever question you want to put around that, how the pairing fits, how they're, how they share the ball, how do they play off each other, who takes the last shot, just the whole dynamic of them on the court together. That's the biggest thing for the Mavericks. And we've only seen that for 2 games?
2 games
before the All-Star break.
That's it. So
you got to have a bigger sample size.
I saw a lot of questions like, why did the Mavericks take 2 steps back and 1 step forward with the Kyrie trade? I'm like, all right, let's calm down. Like, can Luka and Kyrie ever coexist? Questions like that. And I'm just like, let's wait for a couple more than 2 games of a sample size. This question from Mr. Crow, though, is the remainder of the season enough to get into the groove of 2 different playing styles, wanting to integrate a new playing style with Kyrie wanting us to bring his flair, his speed, and then the Luka style of, slowest offense in the NBA. Is 22 games enough? I think that's a good place to start here.
I think it is. But I don't think it's enough for every pairing. And I think it is for these 2 guys, because the guy you're bringing in Kyrie has played with the best. He's played with the best of his generation. He's played with Durant. He's played with James Harden. He's played with LeBron. Like, he's played off these guys. He knows how to do it. He's won a title. He's had long playoff runs. So like, when I think of it that way, I'm not. And Luka's just a genius on the basketball court.
Yeah.
He's been a pro forever. I mean, he's youngish in NBA years, but it's like, dude's been a pro playing overseas forever. So I think if there's two guys at this stage of their careers that can make it happen and learn this thing over the last 22 games, it's these two. If you're telling me as two like young stars, if we're saying like, hey, we just paired Karl Anthony Towns and Trae Young, it's like, okay, well, neither one of them's been in winning environments. Trae's, went to the conference final. It's like both of them, they're new. Like, that type of situation, I would have bigger questions about. But I'm weirdly confident in the Kyrie Luka pairing.
Yeah, I am too. I'm more confident about them fitting together. I'm less confident about fitting together to do what exactly, right? Like, when you're asking the question, like, is it enough to integrate those two playing styles? At what level do you expect them to get to? Is best offense in the NBA? Is that possible? I don't know. 22 games. I don't know if they're able to get there, but they're going to be incredible. Even in the small sample size, we've already seen them be a really, really good and efficient offense. Are you expecting championship level offense? Probably, right? Like, you're probably expecting that, but then championship level defense? I'm not expecting that from this team. So then I don't know what to expect overall from this team when you're talking about integrating it for the rest of the season.
Yes.
Another one I'm going to add to the end of this question is what do we need to learn in the last 22 games? Let's just continue with Luka and Kyrie. What do we need to learn? Because one of the things I think I need to learn is how much does Luka not adapt? How much does Luka kind of change to the newer type style that Kyrie wanted to play? And how does he adapt to that? I think he will, but how much does he? And how much can the Mavs integrate those two different playing styles? And which is weird because we talk about these two different playing styles. We've only seen it for 4 games with Kyrie. It's like not even if they come out of the All-Star break and they abandon that completely, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Yeah. I think it's more of, can Luka let me rephrase to will, because we know he can. Will Luka pick up the pace? Like, that's the thing. I think the safest, the most comfortable for him is the style he likes to play, and it's why Dallas has ran this style since he's taken over. Well, he took over the team the moment he's drafted, but
not really. Carlisle gave him the keys midway through the rookie year, and I
was going to say once Dennis was traded, but
kind of was.
Anyway, the same style has basically been there of like, hey, he is a genius. He's a basketball wizard. Clear it out. Let the quarterback see the defense, and he can basically go in slow motion and pick them apart and get whatever he wants. But will he pick up the pace and play the Kyrie style a little bit? Will the ball movement continue? It's two different styles, but it's two different styles that you could blend together to where no one's saying you got to abandon it. No one's saying you'll never be the quarterback that could pick everything apart. It's definitely what's going to happen at the end of the games. It's the second quarter stretch that they're on the floor together, and it's 4 straight possessions of walking the ball down. All right, let's get the set going. Kyrie's in the corner.
Double drag.
Those are the moments of saying, how can we blend it together then, not at the end of the game?
And that style of Luka walking it up the court and just running isolation for himself, or even Kyrie doing that's going to be there at the end of games, right? Like they can go back into that no matter when, because that's not something hard to get into. But we being, I think, Mavericks fans, you and I, many people have complained about the Mavericks' lack of creativity on offense. We're finally seeing it, and I think Luka was waiting for someone to share that with, right? And so that's why we're kind of we walk around these comments of like, oh, how is Luka going to adapt? And not if he's going to adapt. We think he is. I think he was just waiting for somebody to do it with, and I think he will adapt to it. I'm not even concerned about that at all. I am curious to see how conditioning and things like that and like help him in this. But the whole idea of sharing the ball, pushing the pace a little bit, kicking the ball up down the floor is so that he's not carrying the offensive load so much, that he's not just bringing the ball up and like doing really hard stuff all the time. And like, it's just him like pounding the rock and pounding the rock and pounding the rock over and over again. So coming up, let's talk about what kind of style we want to see Luka and Kyrie play when they bring the ball up. What do we want to see? Who do we want to see play off the ball more and all that kind of stuff? Let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You can go check it out right now and see what's available. Pick 2 to 6 players. If they'll score more or less in their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any given entry. It's not competing against anybody else. It's competing against the projections. So they have NHL right now. I don't even register NHL as a sport right now. Like I need to go to a Stars game because I don't even think about it during NBA season. They even have NBA. You can go check out some of the games coming up. Let's see. Sixers versus the Grizzlies. This is fun. John Morant, more or less 26.5 points against the Sixers.
Less.
He's averaging 27, so we'll give him under that. Joel Embiid, 32.5. Steven Adams still out. More or less.
Yeah, that's over.
Give him more on that.
More.
James Harden, 21.5.
More.
More on that. If I put down $20, I can win 45. If I put down $100, I can win $225. You can go use the promo code LOCKEDON, get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's keep answering your mailbag questions. We are 5 days a week Dallas Mavericks basketball podcast, including all the post games. So sometimes that's 6-7 days a week. It just depends.
Very true.
Nathan asks, should Luka let Kyrie bring the ball up and play off the ball in the mid post way more often? And I think this question can be broadened a little bit. What do we think of? Who do we think is going to be bringing the ball up more often? Who should be playing off ball a little bit more in this kind of system? Because we've seen Luka try and do some of that. We've seen Dinwiddie bring the ball up, Josh Green bring the ball up, and then they just get into the Luka ISO stuff. But we've also seen now with Kyrie, we've seen Kyrie not bring the ball up very much at all and kind of stand in the corner sometimes, and we want him to be a little bit more aggressive at some points. What do you think? Where do you think it'll eventually end up?
I think we'll start to see Luka bring the ball up less and less. That's one of my little small predictions. Just because, we've seen and we've heard multiple teams do the whole, hey, we gotta try to get Luka tired, right? We gotta try to wear him down. And one of those small little ways is put a Pat Beverly, put a whoever it is,
Terrence Mann.
Yeah, some young dude out there, and just picks him up full court. And it's just like guards the inbound pass, when he gets the ball at the other end of the floor, and then all the way down the floor, Luka's, going back and forth, bringing it up. Over time, it seems so small, but over time, it does take a little bit out of your legs some. So the easiest route is have somebody else bring it up. We've seen it so many different times that they've had Tim bring it up or Josh, just anybody else on the floor. And then as soon as they get it down, then it's Luka coming off a little screen or just coming and getting it and just doing a little curl around and getting the ball or post up or whatever it is. So if it was up to me, he would barely bring the ball up the floor. It's like,
and I'm with you. I think he won't. And I think the few times that he will bring the ball up the court. So what we're talking about is from defense to offense, him dribble the ball to to initiate the offense.
In particular, after a made basket.
Correct. So I think when he gets a rebound, I think he takes the ball himself. That's just ideal. That's what you want. You want the guy that gets the rebound. If that guy can make a play, especially if it's Luka, you want the ball in his hands in that moment.
Especially if you're picking up the pace too. Yeah.
Because the defense is not set. He's the best passer on the team. He'll be able to hit ahead guys if he starts looking for them and all that. What Isaac mentioned, when you have a made basket, I think Luka brings the ball up never. I think that should be, especially them giving Josh Green some more responsibilities, handling the ball, him being, really fast with the ball. Kyrie, I think they'll start doing that more. I'm not super into Tim bringing up the ball. I don't know. I know they've done it, but I'm not super into that.
Christian Wood,
but this Christian Wood has when he gets a rebound, and I don't know if that's designed or not. And that, but this kind of brings us into the next question though, from Falco. Kyrie doesn't solve the playmaker issue for the Mavs. Can Josh do it in the playoffs? I think this question is kind of is not a good question, but I thought that the concept was interesting because I don't think it's true. Kyrie doesn't solve the playmaker issue for the Mavs. Can Josh do it in the playoffs? Do the Mavericks still need a third ball handler? Ideally, would they have a third ball handler going into these playoffs, or is Luka and Kyrie enough going through down the stretch and then into the playoffs?
I mean, I would personally love to have a third guy in there. And they're pretty confident in Josh playing that role as a third ball handler. But then you start, looking at the difference between creators and ball handlers and all of that. Of like, I don't think Josh is a creator, but can he be a ball handler that brings up the ball, and gets, Tim coming off a screen or something like that, or gets the ball to Christian Wood in the post or whatever it is? Like, sure. He doesn't solve it, but we're going to see the whole, like, especially in the playoffs, one of those two is never going to like be off the floor, right? Like, they're going to stagger the minutes. Luka's going to have the same thing. They're going to, one of those two is always going to be on the floor.
Even the rest of the season. Like, I think at this point in the season and going into the playoffs, this is not a problem anymore, right? Like, I think the third ball handler thing was gone because anybody that you were going to bring in, unless you're going to go trade for one, like we talked about Terry Rozier a lot. If you're going to go trade for the guy like that, he becomes part of your rotation. But I think at this point, like, the bus kind of drives itself. You got Luka, you got Kyrie. As long as those guys are healthy, one of those guys is going to be on the court at all times. You said in the playoffs. I think the rest of the regular season, one of those guys is going to be on the court at all times.
Well, I could see them maybe not doing the regular season because they want as many minutes as possible between now and the playoffs with Kyrie and Luka playing together.
Oh, bring me the Hardy, Pinson, Wood, like that lineup without Luka and Kyrie. Like,
to where it's
man.
Hey, for a while we want them playing together as much as possible, and not staggering as much or as disciplined as one on the floor at all time. But in a playoffs, for sure, I don't think we should ever have a moment that, unless there's foul trouble or whatever. And
it would be still nice to have another playmaker, but I think Josh fills like the secondary role enough if it's just going to be one of Luka and Kyrie on the court at all times. So,
and he's gotten better at it, and we'll see. I mean, maybe there's something that happens. March 1st is that deadline.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something else. I mean, Chicago waived 2 different players before they waived Dragic the other day, so that made me laugh. Everybody's like, oh, who's there? I think they waived Tony Bradley and then somebody else on their team, but
they could still waive Dragic. He's not really getting a lot of run over there. He's not been great for them this year. So if they do waive him, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, Pat Bev though.
They did bring in Pat Bev. So
Pat the designer, is he excited about that?
Yeah, I was talking to him about Russell Westbrook, and he was not excited for that. So I think he is excited just to not have Russell Westbrook on his team, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Wall is another name that's still out there that the Mavs could add in the buyout market if they just want another ball handler. But at this point in the season, I don't think they're going to do it. How many names have we seen come across the board where we're like, well, Dragic, well, this guy, they could trade for this guy. This one would be an easy pickup. No, I just don't think they're going to do it.
Udrich.
Gabriel asks,
Eric Bledsoe.
Is Mike Tobey available? He can handle the ball, right?
Is Eric Bledsoe just falling off the face of the earth?
I was going to say, he don't want to be here. Like, he's gone.
I've never seen anybody even mention his name.
Not at all. He's out. Gabriel asks, how concerned should we be about the Mavs' lack of defense?
Yeah, I mean, very. I mean, it's my number one concern for him. I mean, there's, a part of this is the personnel that you have, the roster you've built. I'm concerned. There's no other way around it. I mean, I'm trying.
This is the number one concern for the Mavericks. If the Mavericks do not win a playoff series or multiple playoff series or win a single playoff series, no matter where it is, first round, second round, third round, even finals, it will be because of their defense. This team will score enough points against anybody.
Yeah.
Look at there's no team that they're going to face, I don't think, especially even in the West. Memphis, maybe. Like, you start looking at some teams, you're like, all right, who's really going to stop this team? Like, nobody on Memphis stops Luka. Then you add Kyrie to the mix. There's nobody else that I'm concerned about.
I mean, nobody's going to have anybody to guard those two guys.
No, nobody does. Look, you start looking at these are the best defenses in the West. Milwaukee. Jeez. Memphis is number 1. And then you have to go to like New Orleans, who are 8th in the league. Yeah, I'm not worried about them. Phoenix is 9th, but now they're a completely different team. They all of a sudden don't have wings to take Luka, and guess what? Mikal didn't do that great of a job on Luka in last playoffs, so that's a completely different thing that they have to. Then Oklahoma City, they're not maybe even making the playoffs. The Clippers, Luka's played the Clippers really well. Now add Kyrie to that. So and then Denver is like 14th all of a sudden, and that's a whole different issue. So like, there's not a defense out there that's going to stop the Mavs.
Denver's got some I think Denver would be the best defensive matchup. Aaron Gordon and then like KCP, Bruce Brown.
Denver's just a completely different question though, because they're head and shoulders, I think, above the Mavs, just like talent wise right now, even with Luka and Kyrie, because of you got Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ. Like they just keep throwing guys at you.
Yeah,
but
DeAndre Jordan.
But the Mavs defense will be the reason why they don't move on. Did he get bought out? Is he in a buyout?
No, he didn't. He's a vibes guy.
So how concerned should we be? Very concerned. That's the number one concern.
Whatever the highest number is on whatever scale you're using, give me that number.
Okay, concern -5 to 5. Is it a 5?
It's a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5.
Yes.
Coming up, let's try something fun. We'll do some rapid fire. I got your biggest questions about the Mavs. We'll rapid fire some answers to some of these. What are your biggest questions about the Mavs? And we'll try to answer them in like one sentence. Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. It's really good. When I need some chocolate at night, every once in a while, I'm like, I just want one more thing. Built Bar is that for me. It's not high in calories. It's not high in sugar, but it is high in protein. So you can get that only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein in their normal bar. Go check it out. It's built.com. They also have them available at Sam's Club. They also have them available at Walmart. You can go get them in DFW right now. They also have animal cookie. Wow, animal crackers. You can get an animal cookie flavored Built Bar right now. That one's available on built.com. Go check it out. Try that promo code locked on, try lock 15. See what's available. They also have a bunch of deals all the time. Go check it out. It's built.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's try to have some fun here. I'm going to throw out a biggest question from a listener, from a Raccoon Squad member, card-carrying Raccoon Squad member. And we're going to try to answer it in one sentence.
I'm ready.
Biggest question from Bean Dip.
Gloria's has a great bean dip.
How will Seawood fit this team the last half of the season? One sentence.
The exact role he's playing right now.
It will be up and down. That's my answer to it. I do think the more I think about it, the more.
Wow, this is a long sentence.
No, that was it. That was my one sentence. I thought we could. I thought we could explain our sentences.
Oh, okay. We're explaining.
Now
okay.
we gave the one sentence. Now we can explain. We make the rules.
All right.
I think it's going to be up and.
I thought you were going to explain it.
I think I'm going. I think it's going to be up and down. I think that there will be times when Jason Kidd will ride the hot hand. He's proven this year that he'll ride the hot hand, and he'll keep playing him. I do think he still likes him in that between quarters kind of role to like bridge the gap from first to second quarter, third to fourth quarter. I think he likes that role for him, and I think he'll kind of stay there. But there will be times where he'll just yank him. I think the leash is really short for Christian Wood, just from what I see from Jason Kidd.
I agree. I have nothing else to add.
Henry says, "Can Maxey stop our defense from being trash?"
He's not the one-stop shop answer, but he definitely helps a lot, especially at the end of games. It might.
This is a run-on sentence.
Oh, sorry. Let me explain. It might be 145 to 143, but Maxey's going to be out there to help get that last stop, and we'll be like, that was the stop we needed. So there you go.
Yes, but not alone is my answer to it. I think a defense of Maxey, Josh Green, Reggie Bullock, Luka, and Kyrie can be solid enough. Like solid enough. I don't know.
That's your closing lineup, yeah.
Yeah, that'll probably be your closing lineup. I don't know if that team is good enough. I don't know how good that team can be. But we're gonna find out, I think, the rest of the season. And I'm watching Maxey like every minute. I think the overreaction from Maxey from me is gonna be big because I'm just gonna be watching him every minute because we've seen how important he is to this team.
Yeah, but like you even you have 3 guys right there in Maxey, Josh, and Reggie that can guard a lot of different type of players.
Yeah.
Josh is probably taking your point guards. Reggie's taking your perimeter guy. Maxey's taking like the bigger wing. Like, the Phoenix thing, I'm fascinated by like how they would match up there because Maxey would be great on KD, but somebody's got to take Ayton.
Yeah.
And
It's Luka.
yeah, it could be Luka. But
Luka's guarded centers this last little stretch here.
But you might even see him, go smaller at the starting lineup then. And, you're doing Kyrie's on Chris Paul, but then you're doing like Reggie on Booker, Maxey on KD. Then you're starting Dwight Powell.
They'll always start Dwight. Dwight will be starting forever. I saw a meme.
I
saw a meme on Mavs Reddit that was like 2 cartoon characters coming out of a time machine, and they're like, what year is it? And they looked over and there's another cartoon character in a Mavs jersey. Like, who's the Mavs starting center? And the guy was like, Dwight Powell. And they were like, damn, this could be any year. This could be any time. Another question. Let's try to answer in one sentence, and then we can elaborate and explain.
All right.
The Gangsta says, is Jason Kidd going to put out the lineups we actually want to see? I'm thinking for the rest of the season, for the last 22 games.
No.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
No, it depends. It depends.
Who's we?
It depends what lineups you want to see. That is my one sentence answer.
Me, yes, because I want to see that lineup we just talked about to close the game. I feel like for a lot of Mavs fans, it's like, why isn't Christian Wood playing 40 minutes?
Yeah.
So no, that's why I say no.
Luigi Orr says, are they going to play a faster pace? We need those easy transition buckets.
Yes, but not as frequent as you think.
Yes, but it will be a blend. I think we're kind of saying the same thing here, but I think they'll have to blend it. Eventually, it'll become they'll push the pace at some points, but then they'll also still go back to the Luka ISO offense. It's still the most efficient offense the Mavericks can run.
I don't think, bold prediction here, I don't think the Mavericks finish last in pace at the end of the year.
Wow, where are they right now? They're
close, probably.
I think that they might not be close to the next team in pace.
I think
wow. Hold on, I gotta find my breaking news. The Dallas Mavericks are currently not last in pace in the NBA. That belongs to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mavericks 96 possessions a game. Cavs 96.4 possessions a game. Cavs 96 possessions a game.
So we're 29th.
We're 29th.
Oh, here we go.
Not last this time. Next West team is the Clippers. They're at 98. And then the Suns are at 98.6. The Fan. Okay, Connor says, do you think there's enough time for Kyrie and Luka to gain chemistry and Maxey to help defensively?
Yes, I do.
There it is. There's the sentence. Yeah, I think 22 games is enough for Luka and Kyrie. We kind of answered this in the first segment, but I think for all that to go together, the defense I'm more concerned about. I don't know if there's enough for the defense to figure it out. One of the underrated things with Maxey is you've seen what one bad defender can do to this defense. You can't have one guy that just like loses his mind in the middle of a play, like whether it's been Christian Wood, Hardy, Tim Hardaway, Luka, like whoever. You can't have one guy just like lose his mind in the middle or not be able to get somewhere athletically or not know exactly where to go on a rotation. And so with Maxey back, it just solidifies the defense so much because one guy can do so much damage, but one guy can do so much good in this kind of a defense too if all 5 guys are on the same page.
And Super Luka stands, close your ears for a second. You can't have a second one out there, with Luka sometimes that, especially some of those second halves that Luka's, catching his breath or whatever. It's like Luka is prone to, get beat, backdoor cut, the cutting through the lane. We've talked a lot about Luka's off-ball defense compared to he could be a really good on-ball defender, but some of the off-ball stuff he struggles with sometimes.
There you go. Submit your questions. Locked On Mavs on YouTube. Go to the community tab. Go on Twitter at Locked On Mavs and go see the graphic there and go respond to the question. If you have one, we will try to answer them tomorrow. That's what we'll be doing. Guys, go check out Locked On NBA Game to Game. Go check out Locked On NBA. It has Andy Kamenetsky and Hayes from Locked On Bulls and Locked On Lakers. unrespectively. It's like the inverse of that. And they'll be doing a great job covering the NBA. And then we have all kinds of stuff on Locked On NBA. We have a show for every single team. So go find one that you're interested in. Go listen to Clippers talk about Russell Westbrook. He is not super excited, Darian. He's not super into it, but we'll see what happens. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Who's out?
Boom.